Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Now in today's lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a settings file. So what the settings file is it basically allows you to create a settings page within your app. So let's say you want to have a wallpaper that changes, but you actually retain the wallpaper when you reopen the app. For doing that, you guys have to actually create a configuration file. Now if you guys look at my file at Project Java, I already have a file created. It's called config.properties, and if we just double click and open this, you guys can see I have something like a color, which is represented by an RGB color. We have a wallpaper for wallpaper 3 that'll make sure that whenever I run the app, wallpaper 3 opens by simply searching for the wallpaper title and then bringing up the value. We have something like the notes color, we have the Twitter link, Facebook link, the most recent song, which I don't think is working at the moment. And then alarm times and just a whole bunch of different stuff like that. So we're going to be creating the same thing. Let me just run this app. The first one is basically the title. So in here you would type something like Twitter username or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. And then in the next field you'll type in your username. So that way, that's basically your user settings. So whenever you basically bring up the Twitter property to load it, it'll show up the Twitter username, which is IamTechnique. This is my Twitter username, so you guys can invite me if you want. It's up to you. So let's just close that and let's get started with the tutorial. So if we right click on the app package, create a new class, right click Java class, and then name it anything you want, something like configs or whatever, and then just remove the code. I'm sitting in a very awkward position right now because the pop filter and the keyboard I'm trying to keep away from the mic and stuff, so it doesn't make too much noise. But in here, the first thing we need to do is we need to create a public static properties. So we're going to say the public static properties, give it a random name. We're creating an object of the properties class is equal to new properties. So I'm just going to copy and paste because the more I type, the louder it gets in the video. And we have to add the import for this. Now, the thing to note about using this properties object is that if you create another properties object in a different class, what will happen is the most recent one will override the entire file. So make sure you're only using one object. That's why we have it as static, so you guys can access this object from a different class if you have to. So we're going to create a new class, not a new class, a new method. And we're just going to say public void. Let's go with save property, or save prop. And yeah, we're going to create a try and catch, so try. Ooh, I'm not too sure why it didn't put another bracket in there. And in the catch, we're going to put in IO exception E. And we're just going to add the import for IO exception. Now in the first line over here in the try, we're going to say prop.setProperty. And the first property is going to be the title. So let's just type in title, and then the second property will be the actual value. So think of the title as Twitter username, and think of the value as your Twitter username. Mine is IamTechnique. So we're going to type in title and value, and we're going to create two parameters on the top here in our method declaration. So we're going to type in string title. Oh my Christ, I get so angry at myself for not being able to type properly. String value. I definitely think I have a problem. Whatever. So now all we have to do now is actually have to create the text file and then load it in. So we're going to say prop dot prop dot store. That's it. And then in here we're going to create a file output stream, which will create the property file. So new file output stream, and then in here you're going to type in the name of the property. The name of the file. So you can go for anything. So let's go with something like config.tut. You guys can name it config.app, config.tutorial 65478. You guys can name it anything you want. This is a simple text document, so it doesn't really matter. Add the import for that, and there we go. That's pretty much done. You guys can add the exception here. So let's go back to our mainframe, double click our save button, and we're going to create an object of the configs class. Now keep in mind, if you create multiple objects, it's going to create multiple objects of this properties object, which will then in turn override your most recent, or your last, I should say, your lost file, and that's never a good thing. So we're gonna go when you maybe in let's go right here, right after the class name. So we're simply gonna say configs. We create an object of the configs class. Config con is equal to new configs. I'm trying to keep everything as short as possible because I know the key presses are a bit loud and it's just really irritating. So in the save button, which is this button right here, double click on it. We're simply going to say con.saveProp. Now the first one will be the text that we get out of this field, which is called settingsprop.getText, and then the second one will be the value field, which in this case I called setting.getText, and that's it. So now let's run our program. Let's try it again. There we go. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to say, actually before we do that, I've done this tutorial already, but it's too long. I've said that in so many tutorials. Let's just delete that file. Okay, so our program started up. Now let's say username. Let's go with Twitter username. Oh my, this is way too long to type. I'm just going to type in TU, short for Twitter username. I want to type in my username. I am technique. And then we're going to click on save, and it would have saved the file. So if you simply click on this files tab on the top, head over to your settings tutorial or whatever you guys called it, and then double click on the config.tut. You guys can see it says TU I am technique. Now to prove to you that it is in fact working, we're going to go with FU. FU. Funny. I'm just going to type in my Facebook username, which is Mearsing. I don't know. I think that's my Facebook username. Click on save. You guys will see the update in a second. There we go. So FU is equal to Mearsing. Okay, that's fine. Next thing we need to do is we need to create the read button. So once again, how the read is going to work is that you're going to type in the title, which can be TU or FU or whatever you guys called it, and then it'll, when you click on read, it'll display it out to the console or in here or whatever. So let's go back to our configs class. Let's create a new method. I'm going to copy and paste this because I couldn't be bothered, and then we're just going to say get prop instead of save prop, and then we're going to remove the value because we don't need the value, we just need the title name, and the rest is fine. So let's just delete that. And now we're going to say prop.load, and you guys can see it said input stream, so we're going to type in new input stream. I think it's file input stream actually. So it's new file input stream, similar to how we did it's just enlarge this, similar to how we did the file output stream. This is the file input stream. So that basically is outgoing, it writes the file, and this is an input stream. This will read the file. So in the brackets you need to type in the name of your file, which is called config.tut. And then the next thing and the last thing to do is to say prop.getProperty, and then you guys will just put in the key, which is also known as the title. I call it the title, so that will be the title you get from the parameter section of your method. And there we go. And then you can simply print prop.getProperty out, or what you can do, instead of saying public void, you can say public string, and then you can return value. We're going to create a variable called value, so string value is equal to empty string, and then we're going to simply say the prop.getProperty is equal to the value, so we can say value is equal to that. There we go, that's it. So let's go back into our mainframe, double click our read button, type in con.getProperty, and the property we're going to get is settings.prop, right? There we go. Now if we run this, it's not actually going to display anything. So let's add a system.out, and then in the brackets for system.out, just copy and paste this con.getProperty line of code, because I mean, it is a string, it's returning a string, which means you can in fact print it out using the console. Okay, let's go ahead and run a program. Let's type in FU and then add something in there like I am, whatever I can be interested. Whoops. Click save, click on read, and you guys can see it says I am. So if we just delete that I am from there and click on read again, you guys can see it prints out I am, because it's looking for the title called FU, and it's finding it, and then it's returning whatever the value stored in there is. So if we type in TU and then click on read, it prints out null because I created a new folder. So TU, we can say hello click on save. Let's close the program and then reboot it. And then let's start it up again. So TU, read it, and you guys can see it says hello. And if we type in FE, it should say I am. There we go. And that's it for this tutorial, guys. Now the reason why I did this tutorial is because in either the next tutorial or the one after that, we're going to be creating a text-based game. So text-based game is heavily involved with you know, saving settings, saving choices, saving answers, saving questions, and whatever else you want to save. Obviously, I won't be going over that in the tutorial. You guys will watch this one and then implement it yourself into that other app. So that's a little bit of homework for you guys when you come across that tutorial. Another thing to note is that some of the files are in fact encrypted. So if we open up Telltale Games, go to The Walking Dead, and click on their preference.properties file, you guys can see it looks like a garbled mess. It actually isn't. This is an encrypted file, so normal people can't read it. So we might do encryption in either the next tutorial, the tutorial after that, or maybe in another tutorial in the future. I'm not too sure just yet. So anyways, guys, I just want to thank you for watching the tutorial, and I don't say this enough, but I just want to thank you guys for subscribing. We're almost on 3,000 subscribers. We just need 300 more, and we're basically trying to get into the top 100 YouTubers in South Africa, which requires about 5,000 to 6,000 subscribers. So if you guys have other friends that like you know, tutorials like these, please recommend it to them. Like the video, leave a comment. If you guys want to see a tutorial, just leave a comment saying what you would like to see, and then we'll get back to you if we think it's good enough, or it doesn't take too much time or whatever. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next tutorial.